Hey, what's up, everyone? Mike with Imperial here on another Friday. Fun Friday at that. So, got a couple things that we wanted to talk about today. Unfortunately, my sidekick Sierra is out today. She wasn't feeling good, so she took the day off. Hey, what's up, CJP? So I'm doing a solo. As you guys know, we went to the ACA in Houston, Texas last weekend, and that was a blast. I had a great time. Attendance was down a little bit, and I just think it was just in Texas. It's a long ways from other states, so people, had to fly in or drive a really long ways. I mean, we've seen people from California, a lot of our friends from Michigan, from the Northeast were there. So still got to see a lot of good friends of ours, fish friends of ours, but I think the local Texas people, we had a decent amount show up, but it was still a good show, even though it wasn't a ton of people. Hey, Allie. So Sierra got your Stomapedia Pindu, I think, invoice to you. I don't know when she's scheduled to ship them. My camera's acting up. My stabilizer is. So you got the Pindu ordered. So Allie, I think you'll enjoy those guys. We haven't started listing those on the website yet, so let us know how they do for you. And I've never kept them in a community tank with any, or I shouldn't say community tank. I haven't kept the Pindu. The stabilizer is going to be shot. I haven't kept the Pindu with any other fish, so let me know how they do if you keep them with others. I heard that they're not too bad, so I'm gonna have to hold this camera, so it might get a little shaky. Hey, CJ, we met at the ACA. Cool, man. Glad we got to see you at the show. What's up, Robbie? Aquamatrix, KY1, Derek Smith. What's up? Edgar, Ibar. Hi, man. Ali says she's excited. Ted Scott said he finally caught one while I'm on. Cool. She's gonna go slow on them, see how they do. Cool. Hey, Ted, we are breeding some Epistos. In just a minute, I'll go in there and show you some of them. I think we're out. I think we sold out of the triple red cockatoids, but I think Joe, who's breeding those, I think he's got a lot more coming on. Chicago Boys TV, what's up? CJ picked up a good-looking dragon blood, he said, at the show from us. Looking for Ortega. I don't have those, but, maybe in the future. KY1 is asking if we have any good-sized Jags. I think the only Jags we have on the Jaguars are small. Sometimes we could get bigger ones, but typically we like getting the small ones because the big ones get so nasty. What's up, Mike Ramos? Oh, geez. I think our stabilizer is about to be retired. So give me a second, see if I can fix this. Jim Lavelle says his sapphires are doing good. I'm gonna flip it if I can't. All right, see if this helps it. Sorry about that. My stabilizer is acting up. I think it just wasn't balanced properly. So Ted's saying he's unstable also. What's up, Kat? Brian, Paul, sorry about the shakiness. So show you guys what we've been working on. So this is the new racks in the breeding room. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, we had some angelfish set up over here on this side, and we had like a 55, I think it was, and a couple 30-gallon tanks set up. CJ saying he was judging my son, should have picked up more rhinos. Yeah, we got more of them. Those bigger ones, I don't know if we have the big ones listed on the site, but you can email us and find out. Yeah, Ted, those are 40-gallon breeders. So there's 21 of them right now. And then I have another, I think 34 of them that we're going to be finishing this with. So altogether, we'll have about 50 40-gallon breeders on this wall. and we're pretty excited about it. We, are going with the Aqueon 40-gallon breeder tank, and we really like this size tank, and we like the ones that Aqueon builds. A lot of our tanks are old, and you can't really see in them that good. So we're going to be eventually replacing all these tanks. Yeah, the cars, Robbie, have been going pretty fast. We just brought in some more yesterday from a pond, so hopefully they'll be ready soon. But here's one of the male triple red cockatoys. You can see the glass is a little bit cloudy. See if he'll turn for us. There's a nice male. Let's see what else Joe's got. He's got the McMaster. They're hiding back there in the back. You can barely see that. A couple other Maculatus, another McMaster. And Jensen. So, as you can see, I was showing you earlier on the tanks, we're trying to redo the breeding room, and we're pretty excited. I'm glad that we were able to get 3 high. Building the it's gonna be pretty exciting. I'm still trying to figure out what lights we're going to go with. Craig, on the female flavescence, he's asking if we have any female. I don't think we do, but you could email us and somebody will get back with you. Probably be Monday before we answer emails because we're short-handed today, but I really don't know. I don't think we do have any flavescent females right now. But we're pretty excited about this. Do a little bit at a time, so it's taking us time, but and in the next couple weeks we'll have the rest of the tanks going, and everything could be a few. I know we got the McMaster triple red cockadoids, the Najensa breeding. There's some juveniles right here. Off the top of my head, what other ones were going? I know Joe's got several, growing up for breeders, but I'm really not sure which ones are being yet. Nice German blue. You see some firecracker. Those are Tropheus eggs. That's a German blue ram spawn right there. Aqua Matrix was asking about the Turkish peacocks. So I'm hoping that the Turkish, we're going to be bringing some in, I hope in the next week or so. Let me walk back out here where it's a little bit quieter. So I'm hoping next week or so, maybe 2 weeks, we'll be able to bring in a Turkish peacock pond, and we should have some bigger ones available. But right now, all we have are small ones. And when I say small, they're like, I'd say like 1.5 inches at the biggest, probably more like 1.25 inches to 1 inch. So, but we will have some bigger Turkish peacocks. We also got a lot of Madoka white lips breeding now, so I'm hoping we put out another pond. I think it was about 600 fry that we put out today. No, Ted, the video was lagging. I went and filmed them again, so maybe when I went through it again, it'll show. But those tanks are really old, and so I'm hoping when we get time, we're going to redo that side of the room also. Tiger Bite is asking about Bozemantes. He said he ordered some about a month ago, and they're not colored up. So the Bozemantes should have color when we send them out. Now they're not going to look like the picture until they get 3 inches or so, but he should be showing some color. So if you want, email us a picture of your fish and the tank setup. I don't think they've got them mixed up and sent you a female. It's really easy to sex them even at a smaller size. It's always possible, but it would be a pretty big mistake if they did send you a female. So if it is showing some color, it's probably a male. You know, let us see your tank setup, and you know, maybe we can help you with your tank setup, because your fish should be showing more color if you've had it a month. You know, it might take usually a few weeks for them to acclimate, but after a month, usually they're good to go. Um, okay, so Derek's asking albino red fry, Derek, but they're still a long ways from being ready. So usually when I start breeding something, it takes me you know, at least a few batches to grow them up for breeders. I might have a few extra males, but usually it's like the third generation by the time I'm actually selling them. Um, Sergeant Tanks, everything looking good. Yeah, man, it's gonna look a lot different next time you come down to visit us. So when you came down last time, we hadn't done any of the remodeling. Breathe, Love sold out of the Park of Sinai again already. We do have some growing up. When we put them up, it's usually in small batches and they don't last long. So um, we do have on the website. You could get on the email list. So whenever we put them back in stock, you'll get an email that says, "Hey, they're back in stock." I do want to talk about Sierra wanted to do a giveaway, even though she didn't make it today because she wasn't feeling well. But we are going to do a giveaway. All right. So if you guys don't know, we started a YouTube channel just for the farm. So we have the Imperial Tropicals YouTube channel, which is a new channel, and then we have my channel, which is the Mike Drotty channel, and it still has a bunch of our old videos on it. But the new channel, we kind of wanted to start fresh and clean with new content that was directly related to. All right, guys, let me know if you hear me or not. Cut out. So know if you can hear me now. So I'm back in the office, and hopefully you hear me. All right, Allie. Darren Turi's asking if he can see the Star Sapphire. Let me actually check and see if it's on Wi-Fi right now. I might be able to make sure it's turned off. Um, I'm gonna answer a couple of these questions real quick. Kat's asking about the ACA next year. The ACA next year is going to be in Connecticut. So the New England Cichlid Society is hosting the show. So they hosted it a few years ago. So I'm hoping now that they have experience recently, I think they're going to do a really good job putting the show on. The shows are really difficult because it takes a lot of volunteers to set all that up. So, I think the Houston club, when they hosted it, they had their hands full because it's a lot of work to set it up. So, but they did a good job with it. All right, let me get some of these answers, and then I'll try to get in there and show you the sapphires. Yeah, Aquamatrix, the connection sucked. So I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or what. Yeah, Kay, if you could have went to the Chicago show for the aquatic experience, that would have been great because now it's going to be in New Jersey next year, so a long ways from the Midwest. Um, Trying to think of, I mean, Chicago's got big club meetings. They have what they call swap meets, and at these swap meets, they'll have like up to 1,000 people come through the door in a matter of a few hours. So if you want, message us, and I could put you in touch with some of our friends in Chicago that put on those events, and I think you really would enjoy that. I mean, there's a lot of really good fish keepers up in Chicago, and we've got a lot of good friends up there now that keep fish. So the other closest would be Cleveland, and I'm trying to think how far Cleveland is from Chicago. I want to say it's about a 5-hour drive at least, so it might be a little bit too far. Um, I want to talk about the giveaway. I started talking about it earlier and I got sidetracked by some questions, but the giveaway is for 2000, reaching 2,000. All right. Yeah, CJP internet. I took it off Wi-Fi. Yeah, got my favorite place, New Jersey. Yeah, I love Jersey. Um, so That's why I need Sierra here. She would have reminded me to take it off Wi-Fi, but that was a problem with the connection. Hopefully it's coming in loud and clear. So on the giveaway, we are going to pick a winner from somebody that comments after this video is over and just say, you know, say you want to win. But the prize is going to be a $50 promo code for the website. So we're just going to pick a random winner from somebody that's commenting on this video. So comment on this video, say something about Imperial or, about what we're doing and like winner, winner, chicken dinner like that. That's what I'm talking about. Cat wants to win. Allie wants to win. James. So Mike Ramos. Um, so I hope you guys enjoy what we do. Um, Rampahonic is saying he can't wait for 2018. James Hobeen just got fish from us. That's cool. I appreciate that, James. Hunter said he bought fish from us, and they're doing good. Hey Ted, yeah, you could get a hat. I think Sierra's going to put them up on the website. It's been a lot of catch up this week, so we've been playing catch up. 2019 ACA. That's true. It'll be in 2019, not 18. I didn't even catch that. Denise is saying she's so fortunate she could drive. She lives 20 minutes from us. Denise has been here a bunch of times, and what's cool is, I mentioned it before, Denise, is you've came so far in such a short time with fish keeping that it's impressive because a lot of times it takes years and years and years to learn what you have already gained. And, I know YouTube has really benefited all fish keepers because, it's just a really informative way to learn about stuff. So cool, man. Well, I'm sure we're going to be in the Midwest at some point. I did a talk in Chicago, I want to say beginning of this year. Wow. Was it beginning of this year? I don't know. I've been a lot of places already this year. I want to say it was like February, March. I went to Chicago and did a talk, and they want to have me back to do another talk for another club. So I'm sure we're going to be in Chicago. I love the city. It's been a great time. So uh, Hubble Man says he's also 20 minutes away. He loves visiting. I'll tell you funny stories. We had somebody order fish, and we were going to ship them out, and we realized that they were only literally like 2 miles away from us, and we were just going to ship them thinking, well, maybe they just couldn't set an appointment. Before we shipped them, the guy emailed us and said, hey man, I didn't realize I live right down the road from you, can I just pick them up? But that's how crazy the internet is. This guy ordered fish. He had no idea where we were located, and come to find out this guy lives like literally 2 miles down the road. So that's pretty cool that we're reaching people in our hometown that didn't even know we were in Lakeland, Florida. And we get to meet a lot of people. I want to say we've had like 4 or 5 appointments already this week. Another thing is Sierra set a appointment page on the website, so people that are wanting to come by and pick out fish, you could go to the bottom of our web page, and there will be a schedule appointment spot. So you just click on it, you put in your name and info and what time you want to come by, and it's going to make it a lot easier for us, to set appointments. Allie, cool, appreciate that. Aqua Matrix, nothing in Minneapolis. My good friend Stefan Tanner that lives in Minnesota um, wants to have me up to do a talk for his club at some point in the future. I couldn't do it this year because I was already too busy to make it. So I'm sure I will be in, I don't know what part of Minnesota, but I would imagine Minneapolis being the major city, I would think it's going to be, somewhere close to that. Yes, CJ, it's a great way to show our fish. And with these new tanks, it's going to be even better because our old tanks were set up just for breeding. We didn't really care to, we we didn't have to show them off to people, but now, you know, people want to see the breeding, you know, behavior of the fish, and you know, we want to show them to you. And it's also having more tanks is going to give us more variety to breed. So we're excited about that. Jack is asking, in the future, will we consider opening a retail store? We've talked about it, but it's every time I do, I just think of all the stress and headache, and you know, I don't know that it's something that we would personally, you know, go out and set up. We talked about a few different options, you know, but I'm not going to say it won't happen in the future, but if it does, it's going to be a few years down the road. Right now, we are want to maximize our space here and get this place, you know, to its full potential. And then after we do that, then it's a possibility that we might expand into opening up a retail store. Breed Love says, live in Panama City. Just discovered you guys, but glad I did. We'll try to visit when you're down south. Yeah, no, that's great. We have a few people that drive down from Panama City and Tallahassee, and they pick up fish. You know, about once a month or so, they come by and visit. So definitely, if you're in our area, come by and visit. Mike Ramos is asking, where in New Jersey will the show be at for the aquatic experience? I want to say it's just outside of New York City. Jacob, do you remember the stadium? Jacob's gonna look it up real quick and let us know. I think it's where the Jets play, or right outside.
Meadowlands Exposition Center.
Yeah, Meadowlands Exposition Center. So I think it's right outside of New York City. Um, CJ, we got a fair amount of dragon blood females, so that's one fish that we try to not run out of. It's one of our most popular fish, so I don't think females will be a problem at all. Um, Hunter's asking if we feed mainly flakes or pellets to our fish. Mainly pellets, or different forms of pellet food, whether it's a crumble or even like a small, you know, I don't want to say microscopic, but just like almost like a sand type, you know, crumble, what we would consider fry food. We do feed some flake to some fish, but a lot of the fish I don't really like feeding flake food to because it's a little bit messy. When they start eating it, it tends to break apart and it will get in your tank and get in cracks and crevices that the fish can't get to. So, you know, that's one thing. One downside about flake food is, to me, it's a little bit messy, especially with bigger fish. Smaller fish seem to, you know, eat it up pretty good, like tetras and barbs. But cichlids, when they go to bite it, it just kind of tears apart and makes a mess, you know. So, you know, we do feed some flake, but typically we try to feed a pellet type food, and it seems to work really well for us. And we feed a lot of frozen foods, live foods, a mixed diet. Mike Ramos saying that's in Newark, New Jersey. So that's going to be exciting. That's a big show. That's the biggest show in the U.S. And, you know, I don't know. It could be the biggest aquatic show in the world. I don't know. There's a couple big ones in Southeast Asia, like Aquarama. I know Interzoo's bigger overall, which is the one that I went to earlier this year. But as far as the aquatics part of it, compared to the dogs and cats at that show, it's not, you know, aquatics only. This is aquatics only, the aquatic experience. James is asking, what's our opinion on feeder fish to dovie? I don't recommend buying feeder fish at the store and feeding them to your fish, because in the wholesale market, feeder fish are really, really cheap. All right. So when fish are really, really cheap, that means that the people that either bred them or even the people that sold them to the store did not put much effort into making sure that the fish are really healthy and clean, because they're so inexpensive. Now, if you have a store that's got really good feeders and they take care of them and they're not sick, then I think you're fine. But if your feeder fish have parasites and your adult fish are eating them, or if they have a bacterial issue, it could, you know, contaminate your fish that you're feeding. As far as do the dove, I love them. Yeah, they love live feeders. They are very carnivorous. I know a lot of people breed guppies to feed as feeders, and that's pretty easy to do. Jack is saying he's considering raising and feeding live Daphnia mega to my African cichlids. Do you think it's practical? Um, no. Daphnia, maybe to your juveniles, but once they, peacocks and haps, once they get big, even that, I'm not real familiar with the mega, but you know, um, it had to be pretty good size. You know, it had to be, I would say, like a 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter. Um, I think there's other cultures that you could do that would be better. You know, I'm trying to think of one. Um, Earthworms are always good, but also it depends on which Africans you're feeding. If you're feeding Mabunas, you know, they like veggies in their diet. They don't like strictly meat. For the most part, the haps and the peacocks, they like um, meaty foods, you know, so live foods to them are really well. But if the Daphnia gets big enough, I think it'd be fine to feed to adults. But if the Daphnia is not big enough and you go throwing it in a tank with adult fish, a lot of the Daphnia is not going to get eaten because it's so small, and it's just going to foul your tank. So to juveniles, I don't think it's a problem, especially if it's a open tank without a lot of cracks and crevices. I think it'll do fine. So let me answer some of these. Yeah, Mike Ramos has a good advice. Always feed your feeders, you know, like take care of them. And like a new fish in a show tank, and you'll have better luck. So if you do get feeders, you might have to medicate them and get them cleaned up, and then you can feed them, you know. But I think, you know, guppies, somebody else commented about convicts for feeders. Ted did. That's another option. Convicts breed like rabbits, you know. Very horny little fish, so they're easy to breed. Disabled Beauty said hi. Ali saying 100% agree. I'd run away from most feeder fish. Yeah. So, like I said, unless you're raising them yourself, and we do offer feeder fish, and our feeder fish are clean. But the problem that when you order feeder fish online is the shipping is pretty expensive. So, even though we do what $9.99 shipping for $45, that's a whole lot of feeders that we've got to send you, and it's, you know, I don't even remember the price. I want to say they're like less than a buck a piece. I know that, but that adds up, you know. So, you know, to be more efficient, I would just set a tank, let the guppies breed like rabbits, and use your guppy fry as feeders, you know. So, um, Mike is saying he just got 25 shrimp from us, shipped in perfect. Cool, Mike. So we're really focused on the shrimp. We've been breeding our own shrimp for. I've been breeding shrimp for about, I don't know, I would say 8 years now, maybe longer, maybe a few years longer. And I love the shrimp. The Neo Cardinas are really fun to keep, but we've added a bunch of new colors recently, like the blue Neos, and those are really selling well. In fact, we had to ramp up our breeding on those shrimp because they were taking off. So we also, the yellows are doing really well. We have different grades of cherries. They're all doing well. Mike Bernard has got several other new varieties of shrimp that we're breeding. Shrimp are kind of like what we were talking about with the feeder fish earlier. Most of the shrimp that are sold come from um, overseas, and they're not very healthy. A lot of the imported shrimp. So when you go online and you see a lot of the people that sell shrimp, find out before you buy if they breed them or not. And I always recommend buy direct from the breeders because you're going to get a much better, fish or shrimp or snail or whatever you're doing. So that's another one. As Mike just said, he keeps shrimp in his feeder tank that he breeds guppies in to feed his cichlids. So the shrimp are also in nature a part of the food chain. So um, Kane Death Ridge is from Tennessee. He's on board. Cool. Thank you for being on. Jeremy Hollingsworth is asking, what do blue acaras mainly like to eat? So they will eat pretty much anything that you put in the tank. They are not overly aggressive to fish that are, you know, equal to their size. I don't see a lot of aggression out of them. Now, when they breed, they do get the males get a little protective over their breeding area, but they're still not. I wouldn't even say medium aggression. I'd say low. But they'll eat anything. You could feed New Life Spectrum, Extreme Cichlid Foods, Northfin. Not very picky in nature. I think they just eat whatever they could, catch that's in front of them. They also, that's a man-made collar form. So the electric blue cars are the ones that we breed, but they still eat just like the wild caught ones do. So pretty easy. Okay, I'm going back to some of these questions. Scott, walkthrough tour videos and sanding videos are super cool. Any chance you'd be willing to try to do more of them? We do have plans for more of them. In fact, I haven't done any GoPro videos of our greenhouses in a long time. And Sierra was just recently saying, "Hey, when you gonna break out the GoPro and let's shoot some videos of some of these fish in the vats." So that is something that we're working on, and sanding videos. It's just when we do that, it kind of takes away from some of our other responsibilities around here. So, we don't always have time to dedicate somebody to, film, especially because we're so busy breeding and selling and packing orders that, you know, it'd be nice to just show you guys constantly, us bringing in fish and kind of day-to-day activities that we do around here. So, but for the most part, we just do it whenever we have time, and in the future, we are going to make more time for that. Tilapia store. What do we feed our shrimp? So we have a food made up. It's I would kind of consider it like an omnivore type diet. It's got some vegetables, proteins in it, plant proteins, and it also has some meat proteins. And they also will eat whatever you put in the tank. So they are carnivores and herbivores, so they're what we would call an omnivore. So they're not real picky eaters. But we have a special food that we have made up for us that is what we feed the shrimp. All right, trying to not miss any of these questions. Jody's asking, can we get other variations of frontosos? Yes, we can. And the Mbembe's I had a phone call beeping in on my phone. And we can order wild caught. We could get pretty much any type. One problem that we have, even though we have a 20-acre facility with ponds and greenhouses and fish buildings, is I don't have enough tank space. And then that's why we're redoing the breeding room to, make more room for more breeding. And then we are in the groundworks of planning a even bigger building. And I don't want to go into too much details about that because we're in the very beginning stages of that. But one day I hope to have enough tank space that I could bring in, fish from Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, even Lake Victoria on a regular basis. Also from Colombia, Peru, Brazil, Argentina. So we do have plans on expanding that. All right. So James is asking. Well, CJ's asking if we get cryogastrocichlids. No, but maybe in the future. You know, right now most of what we sell is what we breed or get from local breeders. James is asking, what's the most aggressive breed of cichlids in our opinion? Well, that's with the ones that I've kept. I know Dovi are at the top. Jaguars, when they're breeding, are at the top, and we also have the 5-star generals that we used to breed. Those guys were real nasty. I remember the first time we bred them, we had a bunch of juveniles growing up in a one of the 200-gallon vats, and it seemed like all of a sudden they got to a certain size, and we went from 500 to like 50 of them in just a matter of weeks because they just kept knocking each other off. So the 5-star generals, it's the hemichromis fish, so it's in the jewel family. Those are super aggressive. The Mason eye are really aggressive. So Mike is asking, what breed of plico would you recommend for a fish tank with high temperament African zebra cichlids? I would not recommend plicos for any high aggression tank. I see people do it, and you could get away with it, but it's not. Your chances of having success are very low. Another thing that I see is people put clown loaches in with some of their tanks, and I hear 50-50 success on that. But in a really high aggression tank, I wouldn't throw any fish like that in there. You'd be better to go with like a Synodontis type, like a Multipunctatus, Petricola, but go with fish that come from that area. They make good bottom cleaners. Um, not saying that it's not possible to do, but as far as success, you're not going to have a lot of success. All right, so let me get some of these. Jack is saying we could find an amateur photographer who would volunteer a few hours a week to photograph and video your operation. We have been offered to do that. Most people unfortunately live a little bit outside of our range, and I know we have people that come out here and volunteer, help out because they just want to enjoy the experience. But I just always feel like I have to compensate people, just for their time and effort. So so for the photographs and videos and stuff like that, um, you know, we're going to try to do it all in house. I've gotten a lot better with my photographs, and Sierra's gotten really good with the videos. So I think if we work together, I think we could really put out some real good quality content, and that's what we're wanting to do. Alright, so Hunter Rome says they just got 11 large African males on the 4th, and they are gorgeous in quarantine. I can't wait to add them to the 120. Thanks again. Thank you, Hunter. I actually remember that order coming through because I want to say it was when we ran one of the promo codes on the 4th. So I remember I had to answer back, and I can't remember the details, but I think it was something with the promo code you needed. So I really appreciate that, and I'm glad. One thing that you said really sticks out to me is that they're waiting in quarantine. That is critical. You can't, you know, even if you buy fish from your local pet store or you buy fish from a local breeder or any fish, even if you move fish from, one area of the house to another area, you know, it's always good to quarantine fish. So definitely quarantine is important. And it's not just when you buy online, it's when you buy fish anywhere. Always quarantine them. All right, so any recommended types of food for Dovai? James is asking. I think a Kari has got a bigger pellet. I don't know how big your Dovai are. They have an all size pellets, but they've got a really good meaty pellet that I think would be good for Dovais. Scott's going to keep an eye out. I appreciate that. Derek says yes, more Africans. Mike Ramos is saying, do you know of the Egyptian mouth breeders? I do, and I really like them. And I don't think they're that difficult to keep. I think you do have to have a little bit higher salinity. So it's something every time I've seen pictures or videos of them, I'm like, man, I want those. So one day I think we will have them and we will breed them. All right, so yep, Ali's in agreement. No plecos and African cichlid tanks, and Sinos are the best option. Um, all right, Scott Nagel's got a good question. If you want to say let's breed ruby reds to breed in the ponds, do you strictly have those, or how do you keep track of fish to breed? So, first of all, we try to breed everything indoors. There's a few that do pond breed well, but for the most part, we have much better success breeding them inside and putting out fry. They grow up more uniformly and they grow a lot faster and they don't like pick each other off. So like when you put in a fish that even if it breeds in the pond, you know, they're going to eat half the babies or more, you know. So we prefer breeding them inside, but yeah, we breed them very specifically. We don't mix peacocks. Um, we have before in the past like mixed two types that were completely different, but even that was a pain. So now we just um, when we put fish out, we try to only put those fish in a pond to grow out. And when we breed them inside, we don't have any other fish mixed in there. All right. So, um, Mobile Mikey, when's the giveaway? So we're going to announce the winner next Friday. So I'm hoping we hit 2,000 subscribers. We do ask though, hey, share this video, share our pages. Try to, we're trying to reach as many people as we can. I like to see, right now. I mean, we got 27 people watching, which is great. I'm appreciative of that. But when we were doing the same feed on Facebook, we would have 100 people watching. So I want to build the Facebook page or the YouTube page up like we have our Facebook page. But we like the platform for YouTube for doing the videos and the live because it's easier for people to go back and if they seen a video that they want to go back and find, it's a lot easier finding them on Facebook or on YouTube. I'm sorry, instead of Facebook. Facebook, it seems like after you do it, after a few weeks, it's lost somewhere down the timeline. So, all right, I'm getting a lot of questions. So, CJ's asking if we have large sapphires. 4 inches is the biggest. They're in quarantine right now. We brought them in from the pond. They are starting to speckle up. So, uh, is your name seriously XD? That's towards somebody else. Izzy's about 4 inches. They're great. Oh, James is asking about his Dovai. 4 inches. I'd get a decent sized pellet. A 4 inch fish, 3 millimeter size or bigger. Mike Ramos. Yes, they're one of my favorite. That's the Egyptian mouse bloopers. Yeah, I really. One day I will keep them. Jack is saying you mentioned needing more space for aquariums. A friend of mine purchased 3 used shipping containers, 350 each. Gave him lots of storage space for his pond building company. I've actually thought about the shipping containers because they are relatively inexpensive, but I need more than that. I would, if I did the shipping containers, it would be like maybe to breed some U.S. native fish that I could throw a small AC unit in and keep the temperature at like 70 and breed like darters and stuff like that. Uh, but I need a lot of space. I'm talking about a lot of tanks. But that is a good idea. And they are big, long, and weather tight. So I do think we are going to probably end up getting one for storing our boxes and stuff in. Mobile Mikey says he's trying to stock my 20-gallon tank, but can't until my guppies die, and I don't like them because they have ick and won't cure. Mobile Mikey, I would learn how to treat the ick, because once you do, it's going to make your life a lot easier in the future. Ick is a pretty common occurrence with fish keeping. So do your research on it. You know, some of the meds that we use, quick cure. Salt is another option. Some people like copper if you don't have plants in it, but just do your research and learn how to treat it, get them cleaned up, and you know, it's even if you're doing it just for the learning experience on how to treat it, but raise the temperature up, daily water changes. Jack saying 1 cup of bleach, problem solved. Yeah, that is true. There is a disease in guppies called tetrahymena. It's a small parasite. On most fish, it's an easy treatment, but in guppies, it's fatal. Like you can't get rid of it, and bleach is the only option when you have tetrahymena. And it could be that your guppies have tetrahymena. It might not be ick. I mean, ick is pretty easy to spot because of the white spots, but the tetrahymena will be kind of like a really light colored, wound on the fish, um, and that usually that's not curable. So, all right, trying to get some of these questions. Uh, Ramphonic says, can we just buy male rainbows? On most of the types, yes, we do offer just males. So Bosemani, Millenniums, yellows, which are out of stock right now. But on some of the varieties, we do not offer males because they're not colored up yet. Kat is asking how long of a drive from St. Pete Beach. About an hour 15 minutes, not far. So definitely, if you guys go to the beach, it's not a bad drive. CJ says he likes the live feed. I appreciate it. James is asking when do Dovi start showing their color. Mine's kind of dull, but has speckles around the gills. The rest are gray. I would say at like 4 to 5 inches. I got somebody knocking on the door. So hold on real quick. I got some customers. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, I'm doing a live feed right now, so just maybe 5 minutes. I'll wrap it up.
Right.
So you had the appointment, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all looking at the African cichlids, right? Is that, do I remember right? Or which fish?
My name is Sean. I had a I came in over there looking so I seen some blue ones.
Yeah, y'all go in there and look around, and then when I get done, I'll be in there.
All right.
Thank you. All right. So we got another appointment. Okay, so trying to get James is asking about the Dovi when it colors up. I would say at like 4 or 5 inches, it should start showing some good colors. Now, if it's a female, it's not going to have the same color as the males do. I mean, but at 4 inches, if it's a male, it should start coloring up anytime now. By 5 inches, you should know for sure. You can vent the fish and see if it's a male or female. You have to, catch the fish, hold him in a net, kind of be gentle with him, flip the fish over on his bottom. You'll see 2 vent holes. Um, one's for the pee, one's for the poop. On a female, the one hole will be bigger than the other one. But if it's a virgin female, which it probably is because it's so small, it's sometimes hard to tell because once they have eggs, then their vent holes get a lot bigger. So, but you should, if it's a male, you should start seeing some color. We will have some bigger males available. We're growing them up because ever since we did that Dovi video of the big male Dovi, we've just been getting tons of requests for male Dovis. So in the future, later this summer, we will be having some male Dovis. All right, so Scott, will we be at the extravaganza in Ohio? got some of our fish 3 years ago, and they're still breeding. Awesome, Scott. We are not going to miss the extravaganza. We love that show. It's well organized and it's just a lot of fun. So it's in Cleveland, Ohio. The extravaganza is every year, and as long as that show is around, I plan on being a part of it. The Ohio Cichlid Association puts on a great show, and it just really great people. They bring in good speakers from all over the world to, make it real interesting for people, and so I really enjoy that show. So yes, we will be there. Mobile Mikey, how can you tell? I see dots. Yeah, probably ick. So turn your heater up. You know, Guppies. I don't like it too hot, but I'd say 82 would probably be fine. And get you some ick medication and read the instructions on the back and do constant water changes. Whatever the instructions say on the type of meds you're using. The meds that I use, we do daily water changes. We use Quick Cure. We treat, and then the next day we do a water change. We retreat, water change, retreat, water change, and you keep that up. And I don't know where the guppies came from that you got, that have the ick, but um, chances are that the ick could have been on the fish when you got them, and it didn't show up until later. Really depends on how long you had the fish. If you've had them a long time, then probably something in the tank is not being done properly if the egg popped up. So, just make sure with fish keeping, water changes are critical. I would say pretty much all the issues that fish have, whether it's bacteria or parasites or whatever, are usually brought on by poor water conditions. So, in the wild, when you go catch fish from lakes and rivers and from South America, Central America, they have parasites on them in the wild, but they are in a healthy enough environment that it doesn't bother the fish. But when a fish is stressed out, then that's when you're more likely to have some issues. All right. Do we sell a quick cure? No. It's way too much, regulations for us to sell it, but there is several brands out there that are good. I think Mardell has Quick Cure, Mardell, Mardell. They sell Quick Cure, and it's good stuff. So it will turn your tank blue, just so you know. Ramphonic, yes, taking care of business. CJ's, what do you think the best way of getting rid of a snail problem? So some of the loaches are really good. I don't see clown loaches really eating the snails. I mean, they will, but I think there's several of the other smaller loaches that are really ferocious snail eaters. You also have assassin snails as an option. We sell a lot of assassin snails because they don't wipe them out quick, but the assassin snail eats other snails, so they work really well. Um, if it's a tank that you could add a little bit of copper to and not hurt the fish, copper also is toxic to snails. All right, so Mobile Mikey. My water evaporates every day, so I like put new water a lot. So just adding new water is not the answer. So the water is evaporating, all right, but all the kind of bad stuff that you're wanting to remove is staying in the tank. So you need to do water changes. You need to take that old water out, you know, siphon it out, um, and put the fresh water in the tank. So just the water evaporating and adding new water is not going to be sufficient. Um, and if you want to stop your water from evaporating as much, I would put a lid on the tank, like a glass lid. I had another phone call, so I don't know what it does. I never watch these videos after I do them, but every time I get a phone call in, I have to do the auto text and say, sorry, I can't talk right now. But Uh, Ronald's asking that he sees that we carry some spiralums. Will we carry other types in the future? Yes, we will. As soon as I get the tank space, I got a friend that breeds a lot of really nice ones, and I will be carrying those. Jack recommended puffer fish. Love snails. That is a great idea. Puffers really like snails. So Scott Nagel said he bought sulfur heads, and one has a white blaze, and one has an orange, and the other pink. Are they all still purebred? Can blaze color change fish to fish? No. Chances are it's got something else mixed in it also. A lot of people like to cross the yellow blaze with other fish to create different color patterns. So um, could be that that's the issue. Now I have seen like some of this food that has the natural color enhancers in it. I've seen it bring out colors in fish that don't look natural. So, but I don't think that's the case. I think probably the ones you have, had been crossed with something at some point. Thank you, Lucky Smucks Fish Cave. Appreciate it, man. I don't even know if we're at 2,000 yet. I know we're getting close. Mike Jambo's asking, how do you prepare your water for new tanks? So I'm pretty fortunate to have so many tanks up and running. So it's really easy for us to jumpstart a new tank. So basically, we take, if we're starting with an empty tank and we want to jumpstart it quick, we take a filter that, sponge filter that is already active, and we put it in the new tank. And within a day or two, we might throw a fish in there to help do a fish cycle on it. Also, we could take water from another tank, add it to the new tank with an active sponge filter. Um, we could take the active substrate from a tank and put it in a new tank. So, the bacteria is the key with jump starting a new tank. You got to have the good bacteria, and then you got to have, you know, a fish in there. So, all right, Ted, appreciate it, man. Back to work. But that's how we set up new tanks. If you're doing it at your house, then I would recommend, and you don't have a tank set up, then I would let the tank cycle for a few weeks with no fish, and then maybe add a few fish to it. Let it cycle, and then while you're checking your water quality, and then once your numbers look good, then you're good for fish. All right, so Scott's asking also with OBs breeding, which fish makes the blue or what mixes the pinkish OB? There's a lot of different strains of OBs out there. We have some that throw more blue, and some that throw more red, some that throw both. We like the ones that have a lot of blue and red on them. Those seem to be the prettiest in my opinion. But it really depends on line breeding to get the different colors. North Shore got me then. Hard to get good cichlids in North Dakota. Yeah, so you know, I'm not saying your fish won't look good, because if you get a yellow blaze with the orange and stuff, I mean, it looks really cool, But if you're looking to breed them, I would buy from a breeder that's could say, hey, this is what my adults look like, and here's the babies from those adults. So, all right, guys, I got to go. So I got an appointment out there. I got to go take care of. Nice talking to everybody today. We will be back next Friday. So appreciate it. We'll announce the winner. Eric, one last question, and then I got to go. Eric's asking, what's my opinion on crosses? I don't have a problem with it. So I know a lot of people do for conservation issues. Like they say, hey, we need to keep these fish pure. One day we might have to put them back in the lake. It's a it's a nice gesture, and I think it's great that, and I think it's important. Not only is it great, it's important for people to keep these fish in captivity, The Stomopedia pindu that we were talking about earlier, that Ali is ordered from us, that fish is in danger. It's only found in one lake in West Africa, and that lake is being polluted from the local, population, from cutting the trees down. So the fish are threatened. All right, and we should have people out there keeping those fish for the future, because there's a lot of fish that are extinct and no longer found in the wild, and a lot of them are only kept in captivity. So, it would be crime against nature. It is to wipe out a species. Uh, but I really think the real problem is there should be an effort to protect these areas. Instead, you know, human nature is to consume as much as we can and destroy nature. We really should, instead of us giving fellow fish keepers a hard time about crossbreeding, we should protect nature and take care of it. And I think as long as that's being done, then the fish are no threat. So I don't have a personally don't have a problem. I have a lot of fish here that we breed that are hybrids. If somebody wants, fish keeping, for some, they want to keep fish from such and such lake or such and such creek, but for a lot of people, it's just for fun. It's for the educational part, how to keep a fish, and so I think we should keep fish keeping fun, and I don't have a problem with what other people do with their fish. Um, Here we try to keep our lines straight. We don't cross them here. It takes way too much work. Um, so we have other people, like for example the dragon blood peacock. It's a hybrid. Nobody really knows exactly the story behind it. Some say it's a red shoulder peacock crossed with a zebra mabuna, a red zebra. But regardless, somebody created that fish. It's a beautiful fish. Let people enjoy their fish. We shouldn't be criticizing each other. So, all right, guys, that's my last question. So we will talk at you next week. I appreciate it. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the notification also to get notifications when we do go live. So Sierra was telling me to make sure we tell people that, I guess you have, unlike Facebook that automatically notifies you, you have to hit something on the screen that says, hey, notify me whenever they go live. So, we do this every Friday. We try to, let people see what goes on behind the scenes, and, chat with everybody, So I appreciate it, and have a good week. Comment on the video to enter the contest, and a winner will be picked next Friday. Thank you.